lost mine in the sand. Where will you stand?
Welcome to this week's Israel update, Hanok. I tell you what, I don't know. We've got a hurricane coming in, going to eat Florida over here. Uh, the rockets that have gone off just today in Israel, and you've come back from a very prophetic meeting. So, start wherever you want, man.
Okay, so we recorded early last week
Yeah.
on Tuesday, and that night, I can't even say I experienced something that I'd never experienced in 15 years as an Israeli, because in speaking to all of my neighbors, none of us have ever experienced.
Uh,
So, firstly, there's a warning from the Home Front Command to get near a secure area. No one has ever seen that message before. And then the siren goes
yeah.
off in the safe room. Now, normally what happens is siren goes off, you go inside, you wait 10 minutes, and it's over. 4 minutes in, a siren goes off again. 3 minutes after that, a siren goes off after that.
Wow.
And the noise of the intercepts or attempted intercepts were louder than anything I've ever heard. I mean, it was like the building shuddered. Um, and then you're reading the news sources simultaneously on your phone. I'm getting coverage kind of in and out, and we're getting hit with ballistic missiles. Whether the total is 181 or whatever, one of the things that's not come out in a lot of the news reports is the fact that more than 20 of those missiles hit our air bases,
Yeah.
including the Nevatim Air Base, which is where the F-35s live. My government, of course, downplayed everything. Oh, nothing, like
Yeah.
nothing to see here. Keep moving.
Yeah.
We have no idea of knowing how true that is or not. And now, of course, starts the big dance. The big dance is between Israel and America of what we get to do with Iran. Now, I have a very simplistic mindset when it comes to this, and it has to come from growing up in the Bronx. If you're being bullied, you can't play games. Had Israel done in April what we should have to the Iranians, we wouldn't have experienced this. And I got to tell you something. What if now we know that a lot of the missiles got through?
Yeah.
We know that. So, first of all, for those who think that the Iron Dome and the Arrow and the David Sling and all the different permutations of our air defenses that they are thought to be seamless, they're not. People were killed in Kiryat Shmona today,
Hmm.
people injured, possibly dead in Haifa. This is ongoing. What if two or three of those ballistic missiles had a little bit of nuclear material in them?
Yeah.
Now, people say, well, wait a second, Iran hasn't had their. Okay, so you mean to tell me Iran can't get a nuke from North Korea or Pakistan? I
Okay.
mean, so this is very serious. Um, Never in the world has a nation been hit with ballistic missiles. And the thing that's amazing is the world doesn't care.
No,
Um,
not at
I
all.
people write to me, well, okay, that's another subject. I'd like to go into if we have time, but people have asked me, well, like, so what do Israelis think? We cannot believe that the world ignores basic facts. I'm not even talking about the rapes, murders, tortures, and mutilations. And here's another thing. We had the anniversary of October 7th.
Yeah.
So my government released never before seen footage. of the murdered and tortured babies, of the Sderot police station in flames, all these horrific images, one after the other.
Wow.
So you've got the president of France, who I am now pronouncing his name as Macaroon. And he doesn't just like, this war in Lebanon has to stop. Because of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
France had this rule, this history of ruling. No one says, maybe Hezbollah should not have fired 10,000 rockets and missiles. And the other thing the world forgets, the 1,200 people, Israelis and foreigners, that were slaughtered on October 7th last year, based on our population, again, extrapolated over to the United States, we're talking about 40,000 people being tortured, maimed, raped, and slaughtered in one day. No nation in their right mind would tolerate that. So people say, what do you do with your time, Hanoch?
Hmm.
We know you're not guiding. What are you doing? I read and watch videos and analysis incessantly, which of course doesn't help with my sleeping issues. But you read things like the BBC, the Manchester Guardian, and you realize how skewed
Oh, yeah.
the world is. Even like the Times of India, just totally ignoring what came first. So, but one of the things that I read the other day, really, because I before our Israel updates, I'm thinking, what can I share that people won't read on their own? There was a comment, and I said, this is so true. We Israelis knew that Hamas wanted to kill us.
Yeah.
They did. We remain shocked at how many Americans celebrated that massacre. And on October 7th, the 2 days ago now,
Yeah.
on October 7th, in New York City, they had Flood New York City for Palestine. And the image on the flyer were the bulldozers that, took down our fence. Columbia University, universities throughout America, what happened recently, it's just, I'm almost tongue-tied
Yeah.
in trying to explain how shocked we all are here. Now, we had memorial events throughout the country, and I was watching the big one in Tel Aviv until I reached a point where my head ached so much from crying. It's interesting. On one of my pilgrimages recently in America to Costco, I got something like 8 or 9 little bottles of Sustain, for your eye. Occasionally, the dust and, I'm still thinking of guiding. Yeah, the sands of Masada will get in my eyes. I went through like 2 bottles. It's just,
Wow.
it's shocking and unbelievable. The other thing, and I want to thank you personally, Mike. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Mike's looking at me saying, like, what am I going to blame you for now? I appreciate that you asked people to reach out to those that they know in Israel, and say, hey, we're thinking of you. You would be amazed when you consider that I've been traveling to America since 2013. All those trips, and it used to be 4 or 5 times a year, all those trips, all those congregations, you would think that my inbox and my email would be filled. They're not. It's interesting. I always had since 2014. If you remember 2014, Hamas kidnapped and killed 3 of our boys. Then we had one of those, little mini wars for 30 days.
Yeah.
And then there was the so-called stabbing intifada in 2015. So I developed a contingency plan in case of war. Because as a guide, I knew I wouldn't be able to work. My contingency plan was that I was going to come back to America more often and speak. So I was asked the other day by an Israeli pal, why are you waiting until January to go back to America to speak? Wait till after Sukkot, go in November. And the reason I'm not going in November or December or more often is I don't have enough places that have extended an invitation to come and speak.
It is amazing, Hanok, that I don't know that people understand I'm blessed in that I have numerous close friends in Israel. And so October 6th, I began to reach out to them just to tell them we're praying for you, condolences, all of these things. And the conversations that came back from that were over the top amazing. You know, but for the most part, we have a hurricane Helena that came through. We have Milton coming into the coast right now. We have an election in America that is getting pretty much stupider by the moment. You know, I did find that there's someone that is less capable of public speaking than one of our candidates, and that is a guy that does electric cars. I saw that the other day, and it was like, wow, this guy's brilliant, but he really should not be in public at all. Perspective wise, it's Israel. Okay, little tiny Israel over there. Okay, whatever. You got rockets coming at you. Okay, whatever. So the other night on Life on Purpose, I put a stat out that, and this was very quick. So please, if somebody wants to do the engineer thing and hammer me to the wall because my numbers are a little bit off, please don't. Israel or the United States is 448 times larger than Israel. So, we can put you in New Jersey and still have room for the airport. Okay. So 448 times. The report was that in 1 year, you guys have had 26,000 plus rockets and missiles lobbed at you. That is equivalent in 1 year to, if that was the United States, it would be 11.6 million rockets.
Yeah.
Now, if 11.6 million rockets would have been lobbed at the United States, I'm thinking that nobody would have been saying ceasefire or anything like that, okay? Because it's relevant. So I don't know, and you and I have worked on this, and you and I have tried, and the people who are listening to us, I know that this is not your mindset, but this is probably your bewilderment also, is how do you make Israel relevant to a person who thinks it's irrelevant? And the truth is you can't. You can't. It's just not possible. So, October 7th, you mentioned the thing that happened in New York. And I guess what was the most disturbing to me, Hanok, was a female rabbi. I guess you would call that a rabbinette or something, who was standing next to a Hasidic guy, black hat, peyote, all the stuff. And she is standing with Free Palestine. And she is saying it just needs to quit. We just need to quit. We just need to quit killing. And all the babies that are, in Gaza and Lebanon. And I mean, that made me sick. I didn't even know what to do with that.
Right now we're in the middle of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the
Yeah.
10 days of turning or returning. It's the ultimate soul searching time. And it's an overwhelming sense that we're living in a time where history going forward is never going to be the same.
No.
And we're sitting on the border, if you will, of whether it's going to be an amazing history or a series of ongoing disasters. The choice that Israel has in front of us right now is Iran never expected that we would do as much damage to Hamas and Hezbollah. Iran, without Hezbollah in particular, is a lot of hot air.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to clear up, I had mentioned about there had been talk about Israel striking Iran's oil product. America gets no oil from Iran.
Yeah.
None whatsoever, not even a single drop. This wouldn't affect America at all. But it is astounding that, and again, you're right. If Israel isn't relevant to someone, there's no way you're going to interest them in it. And one of the groups that I listened to as a teenager, besides Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and Skynyrd, was 10 Years After. 10 Years After was known because of the lead guitarist Alvin Lee played a tremendous solo at Woodstock, which was way before my time, believe it or not. And they had a song, I'd Love to Change the World. And the lyrics are really simple. It was, I'd love to change the world, but I don't know what to do. So I leave it up to you. The only thing is, and again, I'm looking at the people who are in congregations and communities and fellowships that ostensibly do love Israel. That will say, okay, everyone rise, face Jerusalem, and let's sing the Shema kind of thing. And one of the things that galls me is when, and again, I really appreciate people that have checked in. I can't tell you how much. And I'm very, very grateful to you, Mike, for putting out that word. But what gets me is when people say, oh yeah, X, Y, or Z asked me if I've heard anything from you. If you've ever been in touch with me, either on Facebook Messenger or email, and somehow can't bother to write me, please don't be upset. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Just don't expect me to engage with you when I'm in your communities.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very so. It's not, and you see, there's no anger anymore. When you're sitting in a supposedly secure area and you hear these incredibly large explosions, unlike anything any of us have ever experienced. In our Shabbat tefillot, in the Shabbat prayers, there's something called Shir HaKavod, the Song of Glory. Sounds kind of weird in English, but in it there are a couple of words: Zikna biyom din, umacharot biyom krav. Be like old in the day of judgment, and young or youthful in the day of battle, of war. Now, old in the day of judgment is usually understood that you've achieved all this wisdom, you've reached a stage in life where you really understand things. And of course, the being young enough to be able to defend your country, to stand up for your people. So, I'm looking at something like that and I'm saying, wow, I'm 0 for 2 on this one. Didn't score any points on either side. And it is astounding that it's happening right now during this time period. So I'm going to switch gears for a quick second because I can't tell you where in Iran we're going to hit because I don't know. So I was in Tel Aviv having a bunch of meetings about issues relating to the Temple Mount and High on the Har and things that we're doing. And something I may have mentioned to you, I know I mentioned it to a few other people. I do not expect what we're currently doing with the full prostration and the open praying and the Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim. I don't expect that to go on much longer. Our friends and supporters in the Knesset have told us very clearly there's enormous pressure from Prime Minister Netanyahu to shut the whole thing down.
Wow.
Not surprising, public statements over the years have been the Temple Mount is for Arabs to pray and for Jews and others to visit. Period. He's always felt that way. Now, he has not changed that. Netanyahu is not, and people say to me, you're so down on Netanyahu. You're always talking politics. It's not politics. It's current events.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am amazed. So here it is. We've had these incredibly amazing strikes against Hezbollah. I mean, someone is thinking of becoming the next leader of Hezbollah, and he's dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So Netanyahu has been soaring in the polls because he's getting all the credit for this. Now, what I don't understand, maybe you or one of our listeners can explain it to me. How can he get the credit for being the prime minister and get none of the blame for having gotten us here a year ago?
Well, I guess it goes back to something on my wall here. It's hard to fix stupid.
It's unbelievable.
It just is. This is people. People are deceived at a level that I've never personally seen in my own life. Seeming intelligent people have no sense at all. It depends on the moment. People are living too much in the second of time. It goes back to the goldfish has a attention span of about 8 seconds. The average human, the last I saw was about 3.3. So you, as a human, will probably not win a stare down with a goldfish. That is where we are. If a politician comes out and says something, then that negates 50 years of what they've been saying. Because, well, they said this. I don't care. I mean, I'm not a supporter of Netanyahu either, because I've seen what he's done. I've been there. I've met the man. I mean, I don't think that I think he will do whatever it takes to do whatever he wants, period. And the people of Israel are suffering for this now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So this time of soul searching, tremendously hard, knowing we still have hostages, and at least some of them are alive. The number until recently was 101, but we had conclusive proof that one of them, may Hashem avenge his blood, was killed on October 7th, and they hijacked his body. So there are approximately 100 hostages. The highest estimates I've heard do not exceed 50 being alive.
no.
It's believed that many of them are around Sinwar as his personal human shields. It's horrific, absolutely horrific.
Well, as we enter into the time of Yom Kippur, and that will be followed with Sukkot, there's a psalm that I always look to during this time, and that's Psalm 137. It's the infamous, if I forget you, O Yerushalayim. But it begins with a people who were sitting down by the rivers of Babylon. And it talks about, the word in there is captive. And as I read that the other day, it just brought new meaning to me regarding the hostages. I won't go
Yeah,
into that specific. I just, if people would
yeah,
like a psalm as they consider the rest of the fall feasts, I would ask them to consider and to study and to read
it's
Psalm
beautiful.
137. Yeah.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Um, you know, it's interesting. So much swirling around, and the opportunities for distraction are greater than ever before.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is fascinating. And we we have the imagery on Yom Kippur in our tefillot, in our prayers, that we're all passing before Hashem, passing before the divine throne, and it's being laid out what our coming year will be like. And people get very, very pious around this time of year, um, because they're afraid. Um, they're afraid because of their character flaws. They're afraid because of what they didn't do and what they promised and what they could have done. Um, and the reality is, we're given the opportunity, we, to impact on our lives, those of our family, those of our community, and the world in general. And instead of looking at the would have, should haves, and could haves, and this is the thing that I'm guiltiest of all the time, look at what can I do better today and tomorrow?
Yeah.
Where can I make an impact?
Yeah. Well, Hanok, I know that you and I we share a number of things that are kind of out of everybody's box, and having not talked about them, we just kind of find out that we share that as something that nobody else has come up with. So that makes that probably makes both of us very strange. Um, but
But in a good way.
yeah, hopefully, sometimes. And one of those is that it is normal to traditional to wish someone an easy fast on Yom Kippur. You don't believe that in that. I don't either. So I will not wish you an easy fast, but I will wish you the most meaningful Yom Kippur that you've ever had in your life.
And likewise, Mike. And you know, I continue to be baffled with, why bother to fast if it's going to be easy?
Yeah.
I mean, really. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
have
yeah.
an easy,
So it may it be just really tough.
no, but may it be meaningful.
May it be meaningful.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mike. Take
See you
care,
next
bro.
week.
Bye bye.